Madhava Kunja Vihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giravaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giravaradhari.
Jaya
Gopi
Gopi
Jana Vallabha
Jana
Giravaradhari.
Girivaradhari
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana
Braja
Braja
Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. It's not working because of the delay. It's just not working. Arrival. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gare Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnanatamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and I hope you're all having a nice time. I don't know if you can see out the window. It's snowing right now.
Wow, nice.
It's nice,
Nice to see.
magical, nice magical whiteness. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it all turns into water, which feeds our lakes and rivers and our creeks. Yep, it's nice. Good. When you're a kid, you love snow. When you drive and you're an adult, you hate it. Texas got hit pretty bad, I understand, with the snow. They weren't ready for it. They don't have the infrastructure. Okay, so we have Canto 1 that we're looking at today, Chapter 8, Prayers by Queen Kunti. It's definitely one of my favorite segments of the Bhagavatam. And it's text 21. Krishnaya Vasudevaya. Do you want to say it?
Krishnaya Vasudevaya.
Devaki Nandanaya Cha.
Devaki Nandanaya Cha.
Nanda Gopa Kumaraya.
Nanda Gopa Kumaraya.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Krishnaya.
Krishnaya.
The Supreme Lord.
The Supreme Lord.
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Unto the son of Vasudev.
to the son of
Vasudeva.
Devaki Nandanaya.
Devaki Nandanaya.
Unto the son of Devaki.
Unto
the son of Devaki.
Cha.
Cha.
And
And
Nanda Gopa.
Nanda Gopa.
Nanda and the cowherd men.
Nanda the cowherd man.
Kumaraya.
Kumaraya.
Unto their son.
Unto the son.
Govindaya.
Govindaya.
Unto the personality of Godhead.
Unto the personality of Godhead.
Who enlivens the cows and the senses.
Right, the cows and the senses.
Namaha.
Namaha,
respectful obeisance.
respectful
respectful
obeisance.
obeisances.
Namaha,
Namaha,
obeisance.
Obeisance.
obeisances.
Translation. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisance unto the Lord, who has become the son of Vasudeva, the pleasure of Devaki, the boy of Nanda, and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan, and the enlivener of the cows and the senses. So please repeat after me. Let me therefore offer my respectful obeisance
Let me
Let me
therefore
therefore offer my respectful obeisance
unto the Lord,
unto the
unto
Lord,
the Lord,
who has become the son of Vasudeva,
who
has
becomes
become
the
the son of Vasudeva,
Vasudeva,
the pleasure of Devaki,
the pleasure of
pleasure
Devaki,
of Devaki,
the boy of Nanda,
the boy of
the boy
Nanda,
of Nanda,
and the other cowherd men of Vrindavan,
and the other cowherd man of Vrindavan,
and the enlivener of the cows and the senses.
and the enlivenment of the cows and the senses.
Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Good. The Lord, being thus unapproachable by any material assets, out of unbounded and causeless mercy, descends on the earth as He is in order to show His special mercy upon His unalloyed devotees and to diminish the upsurges of the demoniac persons. Queen Kunti specifically adores the incarnation or descent of Lord Krishna above all other incarnations because in this particular incarnation, he is more approachable. In the Rama incarnation, he remained a king's son from his very childhood. But in the incarnation of Krishna, although he was the son of a king, he at once left the shelter of his real father and mother, King Vasudeva and Queen Devaki, just after his appearance, and went to the lap of Yashoda Mai to play the part of an ordinary cowherd boy in the blessed Brajabhumi, which is very sanctified because of his childhood pastimes. Therefore, Lord Krishna is more merciful than Lord Rama. He was undoubtedly very kind to Kunti's brother Vasudeva and the family. Had he not become the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, Queen Kunti could not claim him to be her nephew and thus address Krishna in parental affection. But Nanda and Yashoda are more fortunate because they could relish the Lord's childhood pastimes, which are more attractive than all other pastimes. There is no parallel to his childhood pastimes as exhibited at Vrajabhumi, which are the prototypes of his eternal affairs in the original Krishna Loka, described as the Chintamani Dham and the Brahma Samhita. Lord Sri Krishna descended himself as Vrajabhumi with all his transcendental entourage and paraphernalia. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore confirmed that no one is as fortunate as the residents of Vrajabhumi, and specifically the cowherd girls who dedicated their everything for the satisfaction of the Lord. His pastimes with Nanda and Yashoda, and his pastimes with the cowherd men, and especially with the cowherd boys and the cows, have caused him to be known as Govinda. Lord Krishna as Govinda is more inclined to the Brahmins and the cows, indicating thereby that human prosperity depends more on these two items, namely Brahminical culture and cow protection. Lord Krishna is never satisfied where these are lacking. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Staya. But today, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Ramani Namaste Saraswate Devi. Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishi Shishanyavadi Paschachari Shatarine. Hare Krishna. Jai. So it's a famous verse. It's an honor for us to be reflecting on this shloka today. which is has many names within it, and all names of God, pretty much, all names of Krishna, and the verse ends up twice saying Namaha, obeisances, obeisances, again and again. And what's so unique about our particular aspect of the divine, of God, is Krishna, who is approachable. This is mentioned by Queen Kunti. She is actually biologically related to Krishna as his aunt, or in some places they say his aunt. And she is taking the time here, deliberating, and within the context of this segment of the Bhagavatam, she's praising Krishna's glories and addressing him with all these names that were aforementioned. And let's say these names imply Krishna's affiliations and his connections with people and his environment. For instance, we're saying Vasudeva. Vasudeva means the son of Vasudeva. And Vasudeva has other meanings, like this reservoir of pleasure, the cause of all causes, and so on. But perhaps the translation that we adhere to mostly is where we hear that Krishna has a father, and he was fathered in the prison of Kamsa by Vasudeva, who was a Kshatriya, and his mother was Devaki, and being that she was married to a Kshatriya, it makes her automatically a Kshatriya by birth. I believe she also was. Then Krishna, like it says here, that Krishna moved himself to Braja Bhumi. Actually, was Nanda who did it. I'm sorry, Vasudeva, who took his biological father, took him there. But we know that he was under the Yogamaya spell. And so ultimately it was Krishna who took himself there. There was, when I was raised Christian, like some of you, and there was this amazing story that I read in one of our Catholic books, where there's this saint, and he's taking baby Jesus across the river, and keeping him from the water. And when I first read about Krishna consciousness and Krishna's Leela of being taken across the Yamuna by Vasudeva, I thought, wow, this story sounds so familiar, And then I could understand, well, this is an older text, and maybe the Christian community had borrowed their idea. Anyways, the parallel is there. It's amazing. And so Krishna was taken across to safety. Oftentimes the river is considered to be like a landmark, a milestone for people. They say across the river, everything's very different. Like the famous battle of when Alexander the Great came to India. He came to a river, a very high rushing river, and he couldn't make it across. And he was trying to figure out how to get across and how to conquer India as well. And so, the details are there. Bhaktivinoda Thakur did a lot and more in his so-called secular days to talk about the Greeks coming into, well, I guess he's Estonian, but they came to Macedonia, I think was the origin of Alexander. And they were trying to make conquest over India. So the river was in the way. Perhaps some of you know the story of the one chap from Virginia or West Virginia, and he wanted to go to Alaska and live off the land, and what was holding him from coming back to his land was the rushing river. He couldn't make it across, and he ate some wild vegetation that actually killed him in the end. He was losing weight, and it's a beautiful story, and they made a film out of it. I think, what was it? I forget the name of it actually. True story. So on the other side of the river, different dynamics take place. Like they say, on the other side of the track, the neighborhood is a little wilder than it is on our side of the tracks. So these are demarcation lines, and Krishna went through it. His father took him over the river. He wasn't sure if he should go. There was a storm at that particular time, and when he saw that a jackal made his way across during that storm, he figured, well, maybe I could do it too. Of course, a jackal can swim to some degree, and if you're carrying a little baby, it's very hard to swim because you have to hold the baby, and for human beings to stay afloat, you have to use basically both hands. Unless if you're in the Dead Sea or something like that, you don't have to worry about sinking. So all these names are related to Krishna's his people. Vasudeva is one, Devaki is another, and Krishna decided to be with another set of parents, his step parents, the ones that he adopted. You can say they can say, "Oh, we adopted him," and actually, Yashoda, she gave birth to the child. To a child, it was a female child at the same time that Krishna was born. And so after she woke up from a deep slumber, she kind of forgot the gender of her baby, and because she had a female, and now she has a male. So, this is a little bit different. And you can imagine everybody was thinking, oh, Nanda and Yashoda, they have a baby girl, cute little baby girl, and then suddenly, it's actually a boy. Okay, so a little confusion happened there. And let's see. So Yashoda's the mom, Nanda is the new dad, and their affiliations are there given in this particular verse. Krishna agrees to become the son, and a big part of our theology says that if you actually become if you become the son of a devotee, like in this case, Nanda and Yashoda and Vasudeva and Devaki, the two couples, you're in a better position as a parent of God, as opposed to being the son of God. When you are the child or the offspring or an issue of God, then you make demands. I'm your sweet son. Can you do this for me? And when you get a little older, you say, I'm your dear son. Can I get a Lexus, Dad? Those kind of things go on. But when you are actually the parent, you're put into the position immediately of serving the child. I think sometimes people forget what parents have done for them. Parents serve their children, their babies, and it goes on for several years. You don't really get independent until you're what we call a legal adult. I don't know what it's like over there in Florida, but when you're 16 or 18 is, I think, usually the golden figure. 16, of course, that number always rings true as the golden figure. 16 rounds, Hare Krishna. But when you're an adult, then you can cut yourselves free from your mother's apron strings, and but maybe it's not always a good idea. Like in traditions, you don't move out on your own until you're married. That's the tradition. Of course, these days, not everybody's so keen on getting married. No offense, but the people that are the most interested in getting married these days are the same-sex people. They get some marital benefits from doing that. No offense, no judgment, no. I'm just trying to be PC here, politically correct. It's just the way it is right now. Even many of our devotees struggle with that dynamic. They have children, and the children, once they get into their adolescence and a little bit later on, they decide they want to, well, we used to call it shack up with somebody, and common law. So that's very interesting. No ritual involved, no blessing. But here in Krishna's time, everything was done with blessings. Brahmins were very much integral part of society, of living. And we can see that at the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada makes a point about that Brahmins and cows are very important. Brahmins do the blessing for practically everything, every sanskar or sacrament that happens in someone's life. Brahmins give direction. A Brahmin is one who understands Brahman, he understands spiritual life. And a Brahmin is somebody who is like a visionary, where a Kshatriya is a little bit less of a visionary. His vision is my land, my kingdom. I'm going to try to make my kingdom grow and expand, and I will conquer if I have to. That's the nature of a Kshatriya. And a Vaishya, his turf or territory is a little bit on a smaller scale, but nevertheless, it is still, he has property usually, and he has goods, and he has commodities, he has gold. Usually that's left with the wife. Gold in the form of jewelry is left with the wife in case something happens to the gentleman. And so she has something to rely on for her upkeep. And the Shudras, they usually don't own very much, but they do own their service, and their service is to support everyone. It's a dynamic, humble position to be in. That's a little bit about the Varna and Ashram, or let's say at least the Varna side of the Varnashram system. The other thing about cows, I know we play big on cows. Our dear devotee Balabhadra, he looks after bulls, and he's got a bull sanctuary going on there down in the south, a little bit west of you, Prabhu's there. And sometimes we forget how important bulls are. We always talk about cow protection and so on, which is great. Cows give us milk, but if you don't have a bull, you don't have a cow, and you don't have milk. So we have to be. It's very important that we don't become too sexist and just give all the limelight to the cow. The bulls are equally important, and their dung is just as powerful as cow dung. And from a medical point of view, it has all the properties. The BS has all the medicinal properties that the CS has. So Krishna is very attached to the Brahmins, and he's very attached to the animals. Therefore, he's known as Govind. He's known as Gopal. He is the pal. He is the friend of the the bovine community. I know some farm initiatives that have been started here in Canada, and they have the gear cows, which is like an Indian breed of cows. And we have one devotee up here who's started the farm, and he's got a barn built that sees to it that the gear cows can handle the Canadian winter. They are really well looked after, I must say. So his name is Vishal, and he's certainly getting the mercy of Krishna by looking after cows and bulls. An important point addressed here is Queen Kunti's message about being approachable, God being approachable. Certainly Prabhupada highlights it in the purport. Krishna is not some abstract concept, something far away. Krishna is touchable. Krishna is near, as we understand from the Upanishadic tradition. God is far and near. God can walk, but has no legs. God is in everything, and yet he's not there at the same time. We have, let's say, overtones of that in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya Tatam Itam Sarvam Shigat Avyakti Muritina. So that Krishna is saying in the 9th chapter that he is within all, but he's also makes himself absent from those places. So he's within, he's without, he's here, he's not. It's understood that if we develop our Krishna consciousness, we can actually see Krishna in all things. And we should try to see Krishna as the cowherd boy. And, and that he's very much with the land and the animals and always there to gratify the senses. Um, in that sense, he's approachable. He was raised in the Vaishya community amidst farmers, those who manage farms, and also laborers, because a farmer would have laborers and they would, work together. There would be a cooperation. There would be like a team effort. And that's the way Krishna was shaped or molded or allowed himself to be, let's say, groomed by that particular community. And most people have children. They like the idea. I think being in the countryside is very good for kids because in the countryside, the kids have so much adventure. There's trees, there's lands, there's valleys, there's animals of all sorts and kinds. And, you can climb trees. You can, well, in the case of snow, you can slide down the hill, which is what kids are doing here all the time now, skating and just finding. When a child does that, and with animals around, there's lots of bacteria coming into his life. So he builds up his immunity, and he drinks milk, preferably hot milk. So for children that grow up on the farm, usually there's very few issues for them from a health perspective. And you compare them to urban children. Urban children, they have all kinds of, let's say, being, let's say, susceptible easily to germs and bacteria that may come and cause them to be sick. Uh, and those comparative studies have been there. So God himself decided to be in the countryside. He decided to be a rural God for a change. Now, much later on, Krishna decides to become an urban God. And so Dwarka was developed, and Krishna was, you can say, the king of the town, of that particular, urban setting. So Krishna he's adjustable, he's changeable, he can do what he wants, he can be take on any avatar form as he pleases. As mentioned here, he is Ram, and he was a prince, and later he became a king. And so he did not resort to a humble circumstance. Although Ram did spend time in the countryside as well. It was 13 years in exile in the Dandakaranya forest. And that's where he adjusted himself, lived in that, what's the place? Chitrakoot. Yeah, Chitrakoot. Where they had a hut, he and Sita and Lakshman shared in that space. So you see, God is not just found to be in a big palace, but he likes to be by the trees. He likes to be by the rivers. And many of us like to have a little trip, a little vacation. Maybe you're lucky. If you're lucky, you got 1 day or 2 days of the year where you go camping, or one weekend. And I remember looking at Yellowstone National Park, and I saw a news report say 80% or 85% of the people that go to Yellowstone National Park, they just drive through. They don't even get out and experience nature to see the bison or to see the geyser, what do you call it, the geyser, the Old Faithful. They just drive through. Can you imagine? Here you have a chance to actually be out and about, and a chance to get some of nature's vibrations, which is always good for our health. But most people just choose to be in their luxury car and just drive through and just kind of look through the window. Some people are lucky if they actually open the window. Anyways, what a situation that is. So God is live in the countryside. He's approachable. Those of us who were raised as Christians, Jesus was a man for the field, being out there, and His father was a carpenter, at least his stepdad was. And Jesus roamed around through the desert and through other areas of wilderness. He sometimes carried a staff. He's portrayed as such, being like a sannyasi. And he didn't have any strings attached. He was not bound by anything. So he was a great, what we call Shakti-based avatar. But demonstrating the simple life and being outdoors, and you know, uh, not just cooped up in the city. But he was certainly on a mission. Krishna's on a mission too. He's here, he's there, and it's always with the intent to subdue the demonic powers. Sometimes we use this word demonic, and it comes across as being a little bit strong. And we found a nice alternative word by studying. I don't know if I mentioned this to you last time, but one word that's Prabhupada keeps pulling up out there in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the word whimsical. When you act on whimsy, it means you're demonic. It's almost like an equivalent. We should consider looking at it like that. A whimsical person is someone who's more or less directionless, unsure, not confident, very insecure. And so these are traits of those who are part of the demonic culture as opposed to the divine culture. But you can look it up. It's there, whimsical nature. And so Krishna comes to establish firmness in Dharma, and where people are whimsical or where they have been led astray, Krishna just tries to straighten them out. And, he was said, do or die, follow me or you're just going to get out of here. And when Krishna kills someone who's totally whimsical, then he does something very nice. He gives them moksha, liberation. It's what a blessing that is to be killed by God. What a blessing. So the all that Kunti has to say here in this particular shloka sums up everything about the absolute, the Krishna. First word in the verse refers to the all-attractive person. Vasudeva identifies with his father, Devaki his mom, then his stepfather, and then we also hear about the Gopas. Krishna's clinging to the Gopas, and also being Govinda, one of his more favorite names, which our restaurants around the world, use. Govinda means the one who actually enlivens the cows, the land, and the senses. This is the meaning of Govinda. And those of us who are lucky here, Govinda's name being sung every day in the temple during pandemic, it might be a little difficult. Govindam Adipurusham. That's Brahma's words, his chorus to the Brahma Samhita. There we find the name of Govinda, and Adipurusham means the first person, the original person. If Brahma appeared as the first mortal, you can say, or Devata, I guess saying mortal wouldn't be appropriate but he does die. And for him to say, I'm not the first person, although some people might see that he is, because he came from the lotus out of Vishnu's body. But he'll give credit to Krishna. Krishna is the source of all, the Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. Kunti could understand that. She was praising him like anything. That's what this chapter is all about. A praise of Krishna, a praise of Govinda. And he's worthy of it. He's worthy of it because of all the points that are mentioned here. All of his people are very divine. One other point we should mention here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's the most expert in the theology of Krishna, expressed that the residents of Vrajabhumi, they are the most fortunate. The Gopas and the Gopis, especially the Gopis. Krishna's friendship with the maiden girls of that area. So Krishna was close to the gopas, the boys, to the girls, the gopis, and also to the cows. They would herd the cows in the pasturing ground. They would spend hours and hours just having fun with the animals. Yeah. So these days you don't see too many farmers actually, herding their sheep or whatever the case may be in open land, open territory, because fences keep all the animals in. It's kind of a sad thing, really is, to have for animals to be fenced in like that. As long as they have something to eat, then it's okay. But before the Europeans came, there were no barriers. There were no, let's say electric fences even to keep certain animals out. Everything was wild and wonderful at one point. And even though there's some restrictions here and borders, we can still think of Krishna. The whole idea is like Advaitacharya was saying of Chaitanya. He said that wherever you are, there is Krishna. So you don't need to go to Vrindavan. Krishna's there, of course, but from Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying to his friends, his associates, Sangha, I think I should go to Vrindavan now. And then Advaitacharya was saying, well, wherever you are, that is Vrindavan, because you carry the personality of Godhead within you, within your heart. So these verses here that we hear from Queen Kunti are establishing Krishna's omnipresence on one level, and also his very definitive presence as a beautiful boy who can come very close to you and give you the biggest smile and award you all the benedictions that you need. Hare Krishna. I think I'm supposed to end around there. And if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe we have some time for questions or any discussions. Is that correct?
You can go a little longer, Maharaj, if you wanted to.
I see. I think that I'm okay at this point.
All right.
It is a lovely purport. And if devotees want to take a sentence from there and highlight it and bring it to the fore, I'm quite happy and we can discuss it. It's nice to have a little discussion.
Yes.
This thing bothers me after a while. No offense, Sartak. I mean, he gave this nice gift to me, but it's just good. So anything that I mentioned, if you'd like to repeat or expand on it, I'd really, really appreciate it. Sorry if I put you all on the spot, on the hot seat, but that's the name of the game. While you do that, I'm going to open my window. It's just so hot in here, so hot. I'm taking this off.
All right. So Jayaraj Prabhu, if you want to ask the question, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let Maharaj come back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
I got a question, comment.
Okay.
The question is, when we talk to people, they say, your Vedic culture is too extreme. You are describing the cows and the brahmanas and all this. This doesn't apply for today. And it's completely updated. It's a culture that doesn't work. What is your comment?
My comment is that I don't have any cows. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even have a bull. And as far as Brahmins are concerned, there's Brahmins everywhere. Brahmins are thinking people, thoughtful people. And they may not have a shaved head with a shika in the back, like a tuft of hair, but Brahmins are everywhere. You're a smart man. You're a Brahmin. So we use cars today. We don't have chariots, but we all have the same lust and anger and greed that we contend with, like people did in Vedic times. I believe in a higher power. Do you believe in a higher power? If you don't, I won't judge you, but at least appreciate the universe. you know. I think that the modern society is full of extremes. You know, with these cars, we're killing 1.25 million people every day, and then injuring so many more on top. Cars are killing more people than COVID is,
Yeah.
and it's a rush, hectic dog eat dog society, and people eat food where they eat animals. I think it's very extreme, and there's a lot of murders going on, and there's everyone's got a gun. For every American, there people have 2 guns per person. So I think that's pretty extreme, don't you? I don't know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
I mean, if we're talking about the life of Krishna living in the countryside, that's where everyone wants to be. They want to get out of the helly, smelly, big
Delhi.
cities of Miami, yeah, Delhi, whatever, or even Miami. It's polluted. It's fast paced. I mean, everybody wants to get out of the city as soon as they get a chance. They want to
Mm.
go to where the water is. So I don't. I think you have to look more clearly at what is extreme. We call that in our tradition rajas. Rajas means extreme, and so everything's high paced. Isn't Nassau in Florida?
Yeah.
Well, that's you got rockets going up at such a high speed. That's extreme. And we fix our own planet first before you try to mess up another planet. I think you're extreme, sir. How many relationships have you had? You can't be happy with one spouse. I mean, I don't want to go that far. If you really want to get into an argument, you can, but where is extreme? You
Mm.
know, extremities are found
Well, they were
everywhere.
saying, I was preaching to somebody, one Carmi person, and she says, there's no equal gender. It's now the whole world is equal gender. They're shooting for equal gender. Now your society is putting down. You should be equal gender.
I don't know. Has ISKCON ever put down same-sex people? I've never seen any statement. We have a lot of people that join our movement that are same gender. A lot. I travel around. People, when I travel around to different countries, they ask me, and people these days are very open. They'll say, I'm gay or I'm lesbian, this and that. So we welcome them. Everyone, Hare Krishna is for everyone. We never made any statement that we reject you.
Mm.
In fact, our Guru Maharaj, the first people, Srila Prabhupada, first people that he made devotees were gay. So what do you say about that? We're very open. We were more open than in most other places. I mean, we do have some work to do in terms of how we've treated our women in the past and so on like that. We could be a lot more fair with them. We believe in protecting them, but we shouldn't abuse them. And we have. We have a history, and we feel bad about that history. So that's extreme. That's extreme when you talk about how women are less something or other and you don't protect them. Well, if they are less, why don't you protect them? But it seems like the protectors are oftentimes the abusers. So that sounds pretty extreme too. So that part of our culture, we're working on it. We're trying to, be more mature about our approach. So, you know, and our food is it's less extreme. It's less spicy. We don't eat, dead carcasses. We, our food is quite light and very colorful and very nutritious.
Mhm.
And when you really analyze it, I'm a devotee. Most of my friends, they have an animal. Is that extreme to have an animal in your place? Like to have a dog or a cat or a pet canary? Is that extreme? That's a little touch of Vrindavan, right? In the city. So you have squirrels, you have alligators. And what do you mean extreme? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm.
The extreme society is the one that just what we just described. The rush hour traffic and people pulling out a gun and killing their loved one, their lover. That's extreme. And in our tradition, we tried to cultivate more the sattva gun, calming down, slowing down, pausing for a change, slowing down, sitting down, chanting, and getting connected to the source of all, to the creator. That's our culture. And we've found a fairly happy balance. I live in the city, you can say, the place of extreme, but I can also tap into the world of Krishna at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So just look out the window, look out the door. Right now it's rush hour in Miami. Is that extreme or what?
Mm.
I think it's very extreme. I personally think everyone should walk or have an, or be taken by a bullock cart or something like that, or on a horse, then it would be less extreme. Look at all your factories, the polluting that you're doing. That's pretty extreme.
Mm.
So that's my remark.
That's great.
Nah.
But then they would say, the argument also say, well, you were very peaceful and everything, but 350 million people die in the battlefield of Kurukshetra simply to promote the king. So they say,
promote. No, I think you've got your information wrong. The Battle of Kurukshetra was not to set up one particular king. It was to establish actual culture, a culture of what we call dharma, that which is all about encouraging people to act according to their own natures. The battle of Kurukshetra was a battle against greed and lust and anger,
mm-hmm.
and jealousy. If you check out the actual history of the Mahabharata, which is the history of the greater world, you'll see that it was clearly a fight against what is evil, the evil empire. So for that, you sometimes have to fight. If you see that children are being abused, then and some people should get fighting mad, right? If our old people are not being looked after, you should be fighting mad. Or women who are more vulnerable than men. If we see women are being abused, we should be fighting mad. It's worth a fight. And to say nothing, to be pacifistic, when, there's a consumption of these evil elements, you have to take up arms. I'm sorry. You can negotiate like Krishna did. He was trying to negotiate. And but it didn't work. They didn't listen because they, the Kauravas, they were overwhelmed by greed. They did not want to share. So that's my remark.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very nice answer, so we can use it in preaching.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Let's go there and fight. Gotta go. You gotta fight. You gotta win. You gotta go fight, win. And that's what the Krishna consciousness movement is really all about. Prabhupada came to establish a cultural conquest. When he first came, there was hardly a vegetarian.
Yes.
Now, because of devotees' work and other people, so many people are vegetarian and vegans now. So many.
20 million in the United States, they say.
Wow, there you go.
And now, if you go anywhere, big markets, everything, they put this is vegetarian product.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they have a vegetarian burger now in every major store.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when I joined, on Sunday we have a theater. Every Sunday we have
A
drama.
drama.
Every
Okay.
Sunday.
Well, why don't you put a drama on at the temple?
One time we did with Barun. He did the boatman.
Oh yeah.
We love the dramas.
Oh,
Unfortunately, we
Varun.
don't.
Yeah.
For
Because of the,
Gopurnima, probably we'll do one drama with Barun.
oh, Varun, my dear friend.
And
We
his
miss
wife
him
is
so
here.
much. Oh, good.
Yeah,
All right.
she's in
Okay.
there.
I don't know if I've met his wife.
Yes, Sefali Mataji. I think she's here or she's left. Yeah, I think probably she left.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Judge,
She
much
was
for
in.
your questions.
Yeah, anybody else?
May I?
Sure.
So, Maharaj, I feel that this verse talks more about the personal feature of Krishna, that
Right.
he comes with his entire entourage, which is the cows and the cowherd boys and girls. So, and this is again linked to the words that we say every day, Namo Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmanetaya Cha. So we can just put it as ABC, that is accessing the Almighty through Brahmanas and cows. That is what came up with. So, like Prabhupada used to say, the health of a society is determined by how happy and healthy the cows are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is what we can say in a nutshell.
Yes. And also, it's determined a lot by how we take care of our animals as well.
Absolutely.
Mm. Well, people
Maharaj,
have that. Yeah, go ahead.
One quick question. I always get confused between Vasudev being the father of Krishna and Krishna being referred to as Vasudev. So could you please put some light on it?
The light that I would shed on you is quite simple. The switch is on now. And when we say Vasudev, we're talking about Krishna's father, Vasudev. It's in the pronunciation. When we
Okay.
talk about Krishna, we say Vasudev. It's
Okay.
a long A.
Okay.
Vasudev as opposed to Vasudev.
Okay.
So it's in the pronunciation. It's in the accent.
And does Vasudev mean the son of Vasudev? Is that what it means?
Vasudev does, yes.
Okay.
Vasudev means the son of Vasudev. And as I pointed out, means other things as well, like cause of all causes. And
Okay.
Yeah, it's there. It's interchanged and has different meanings.
Okay. Thanks, Maharaj.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody else there? Okay. Well, thank you very much for this.
I do have one
Okay.
task. All right. So I'm seeing in the purport it says, therefore Lord Krishna is more merciful than Lord Ram. He was undoubtedly very kind to Kunti's brother Vasudeva and family. But in the kingdom of Lord Ramachandra, everyone was happy and satisfied. So it seems to me that Lord Ramachandra was more merciful to everyone, and everyone was happy and satisfied. He made sure everyone was happy, because even in the case of the person who found fault with Sita, he banished Sita because of that reason. So can you throw some light on Krishna being more merciful?
Well, Ram, if he, moved Sita on, that would indicate that maybe he wasn't so merciful. That could be argued. So Ram had a kingdom, Ayodhya, and Krishna had a kingdom, Dwarka. In both places, everyone was quite satisfied, very happy. They only encountered problems when some antagonists would come in, aliens would come and try to attack, which happened in both kingdoms as well. But if you look at Krishna's Dwarka and the details therein, you would find that it was like a heavenly planet, in as much as Ayodhya is as well. I think you can compare the two dhams, or the two holy places, that people were God-centered, and that's why they were both successful projects. Everything was centered on the ultimate supreme, like the prime entity. So both are good. I mean, if you want to split hairs, then you can say, okay, Krishna, maybe there's a bit more there, but I don't think we have to. It's like mangoes, a box of mangoes. They're all ripe. This one's riper than the other one, but they're all ripe.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So does anyone else have a question?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This is Keshava Gopal Das.
Keshava. Which Keshava? I know so many.
Keshava Gopal Das. I'm serving the IMO community, but I wanted to kind of like just advertise a little bit IMO, and so you're welcome to visit Miami, and also we have a center in Syracuse, which is close to Canada. I know now the border is closed.
Really? You have something in Syracuse?
Yeah, and it's under the ISKCON Miami Ridge.
Wow, great. And is it an official ISKCON center?
Yes.
It's approved by the GBC.
Wow. And who's your GBC?
There's no GBC. You can be the GBC if you like.
I was offered New York State there, but they already gave me Alaska and Minnesota, and and of course I had to leave Miami. They're trying to establish contiguous zones. That means something that makes geographical sense. New York State could be, but I think we have to start. We have to find. We have to find new leaders.
Well,
I'm gonna be 69. What's that?
Keshava is one of the leaders.
Okay.
From our side, and he managed more than 4 centers.
Is this the Keshava from Alachua?
No.
Oh, it's another Keshava. Well, I can't see who he is because he puts a white face on the screen. I can't even see his loveliness.
There you go.
Oh, wow. Where are you from, Keshava Gopal?
I'm from Israel.
Oh, Jai, Haribol. I've met you.
We met in Miami, I think. Yeah.
Yes, I remember you.
Yeah, yes.
Good for you. So you're a good manager.
Yeah.
No, I try.
Well, so you're living in Miami, so yeah, we should get a local guy to look after New York. New York's big. It's big. Rochester, upstate New York, so many people, so many good people.
Yeah.
We should be looking after it.
Well, maybe New York can be split into New York City and New York State,
Well, you see, what the problem we have is that a lot of the older guys just feel they have to take up everything, but we actually have to look at new blood. So recently we've been having meetings in North America, virtual meetings with the old guys, if we can use that term, and then with a new crop, a new wave, and then finally those who are from the age 20 to 40, which is probably where you fit in. Yeah, and we need to just take care